Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. I think actually today is the final day of our Market Madness, Julian and David's awesome site promotion deal. So they said, hey, today's the last day. You better mention it. So, officially been mentioned. And anybody who is interested, please take advantage because tomorrow it'll be gone. We actually doing the daily brief recap here a little bit later here this morning because we had just an absolutely awesome presentation today by one of our site OGs, Mickey out of the UK, did a very interesting and always controversial comparison of Bitcoin BTC and Bitcoin, which is interesting, BSV, Mr. Satoshi's Vision Bitcoin. And of course, if anything, I give big hats off to Mick if you are watching this daily brief recap later on, in that quite often in this world, it is very, very difficult to stand up in front of sort of like an angry mob and actually just say, hey, do you have an open mind? Do you want to just sit and look at the differences of the protocols and what are the features and the benefits, maybe even drawbacks of these two different names? I have to commend Mickey for his presentation. I thought it was very professional. Of course, it sparked quite a conversation in our daily brief today. So, obviously, there are going to be people in this world that haven't bought into that concept of Mr. or I guess the good doctor's vision. But nonetheless, I thought there were some really interesting arguments made for BSV. As a platform going forward, and ironically enough, my message to Mick today, because it sounds like he's one of the developers in the core community there, and one of my simple message was, it looks like it's a half decent product. You just got to get a different mascot. You got to get that guy out of there, that's another conversation for another day. Anyway, great presentation, Mickey. Thank you so much for the content on the site. Made for a really, really interesting daily brief today. All right, heading on over to our market summary page that we like to do for the YouTube audience. We'll try and be relatively quick here today. I don't really want to do another marathon. I looked the other day and saw I was talking for like 40 minutes, and I was like, wow, I got to really try and cut that down. So it's, what is it? It's 10:43 here on the West Coast. Let's try and have this done by the top of the hour. Same old in pretty much the entire market. Interesting to see how US dollar index is sort of settling itself into this narrow sideways channel. And if we break to the upside, that probably is, all hell's breaking loose in the world again, and everybody's fearful of economies shutting down, and COVID is reigning supreme kind of idea. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Things are starting to, resistance is starting to build up top here. It's going to take a real punch to the upside to break the US dollar index out to the upside again. So we are coming back down against all these huge sort of railroad tracky lows here. So we'll see if we start slipping through the lows here. It probably means that, turns out that, the world economies are coming back online. People are feeling a little bit more optimistic. We talked at length about the euro looking extremely dangerous there. The euro backed away from the sort of peering over the cliff. And is actually pointed back up now, so to a certain degree that you can see that being reflected in the US dollar index. I don't think there's any clear resolution here, and my hunch is we're probably going to see a few more days of this, if not weeks. Stock market basically bumping up against the highs ends of the range. Seasonally, we are definitely in that time of year when seasonally we should be thinking about a top. This is sort of like risk on kind of conversation. It appears to me, and we'll look at the junior stocks, they're catching quite a bid here recently. I banged off just a monster win this morning in junior stock land. Um, so as it stands right now, and I think we sort of talked about this recently, as long as the crude oil is pushing higher, risk on kind of thinking. Haven't quite hit that 34.53 target. Today's high there, 34.16. So we're getting awfully close. And I think I had talked to you recently that if I was in this bot back in my crude oil trading days, I would probably have my stop, my little setup. I love to trade the bot. I'd have my stop, hit stop to trailing, and I'd probably have my stop just underneath this support. So either I've got my AOCO order to liquidate the position at the profit objective, or I have my sell on a stop on a break below, what's that number there? 31.73. I might put my stop at like 31.69 or something. Just give it a little bit of wiggle room. So energy's still pointing up. Just made a new high here this morning, and as a result, the on balance risk kind of talk. U.S. dollar coming off, stock market pressing higher. And interesting to see, the gold is trying desperately just to hold in here. Gapped higher this morning off of these crazy lows. But I really think, the metal story, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think it's got to be silver. And the interesting thing about that, of course, is that silver is an industrial metal by trade. So as a result, that silver market just keeps charging higher. This actually is a good sign for the economy, that this gold and silver, and maybe this was that sort of crescendo crisis that the market needed to mark a pivot here. But you can see silver made another new high here today, so it just keeps marching its way higher. Gold just kind of like, Jesus, I'm really, really expensive. Do I really want to get more expensive? I would imagine a lot of people are kind of like, this is the poor man's way to play this market. I'm going to go buy me some silver. Anyway, so good to see silver's still rocking and rolling here. Heading back to our conversation here. So the gold, probably along with the bonds, you can see the bonds still sitting in their narrow sideways channel. It looks to me like the risk off is just on pause right now, whereas risk on keeps catching a bid. Specifically in like sort of junior stock market land, we kind of talked a little bit about this. Was this M going to mark the seasonal top in the sort of speculative fervor in the market? And the market just said, nope. We haven't broken out through the top here. I'd like to see this breakout to give me a nice big A, B, C, D painting objectives up here. And if anything, hey, I want to make money on the long side. I'd love to see this rally continue. I'm a little concerned, though, that, we saw the entire move up. Things like Bitcoin actually were leading the stock market. Now we're actually getting a divergence here. So I don't know whether I really buy into this. Of course, I did buy a bunch of stock, names like this Funko we'll talk about when we were sort of down in these areas. As long as this keeps pressing higher like this kind of fun stuff is going to keep happening. So here was our treat today. Put tweets about it, of course. This is my co-host, Kevin. You hear how often I rave about Kevin. I think he's turned into an excellent stock picker. We had a lot of fun in our TRI-SOF meeting. In fact, actually, there's a stock I'm supposed to buy. Did the damn thing take off like a rocket, Kevin? Even as we were doing the daily brief, one of the stocks we were talking about yesterday started to take off, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I got to leave this call. What was that? It was TRT, wasn't it? Or TNT? One of those. Probably TNT. That would probably be. Is it this Triotech? There. Oh, stop! So, look at that. Beautiful double bottom. Another one of Kevin's picks. What do you expect, right? Beautiful bull div on the MACD. Of course, good-looking Willie Stupid. So think El Tangonators, that kind of stuff. Rally up into the top here. Perfectly logical. Anyway, point of the matter here, this is another one of Kevin's gems. This guy's one hell of a stock picker, right? Jesus H. Christ. So he mentioned it to the group, and I was like, the moment I saw it, I was just like, damn, and I just went and grabbed some. Ironically enough, man, do we tell him whether you're long or short, Kevin? Ali, you could ask him in the comments. Maybe we'll get some feedback from you
No,
guys.
unfortunately, I'm not long. Everybody else was a TRI except me.
Boo. But he's making so much money from all his stock picks. I don't have any empathy for him.
I tried to sneak in a little too cheap and didn't get filled.
Oh, dude, you're like I said, you're turning into one hell of a stock picker, dude.
Yeah, it's all
So
good.
anyway, long and short of it here, I did just when I saw this, I just was like, I gotta go get some of this, and I grabbed some. Got a huge pop, and how ironic! All they got to do is a news release that has the word COVID in it somewhere, and bang! Of course, got off half of my position on a double. How ironic! My next sell half on a double order was up here at 306, and we hit a high here at $3 even. Could I see the market head up here? Sure, because the irony of it all is just zoom out. Look at how insane. This was probably in its former days, and it's probably not even relevant now. But even if we look at price action, let's say just even from this peak up here, and you should look at this and go, gee whiz, this just looks like an altcoin. I mean, it's the same crap, it's just different pile. So, is there any potential to work its way up into this area going forward? Sure. Do I have any risk on this trade whatsoever? None. Zero zip. In fact, actually, I even sold half above my double price, so I even have a nice little profit booked on the trade as well. So thank you so much, Kevin. Love you. Hugs and kisses. You're the man. You can understand why I like to try and keep these TRI OGers around because they're valuable. All right, let's head on over to the corn. As you can see from this chart, we did clearly fall out of bed here a bit this morning. M's and W's. Hopefully everybody can see this is carved out now, a big fat M. Up, down, up, see you later. So, and it also did close that bar below that level. So if we change this to like a clothesline chart, the institutional players now see that M. It's there. Get used to it, right? And kind of like what you saw here. As soon as the M comes in, now what we have to say, if you're a bull, is, okay, fine, please show me a W to sort of turn the tide. And you can see how long it took until we started making, there's a W there, then an M. So they're kind of like, I don't know, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Come down, test this low, then turn back up through the middle of this M. So there's a big fat W, and we can resume our rally. So, long and short of it here, this big fat M, and you also notice there's also a little m, so all you shark traders, you're all zipping in, of course, on that breakdown there. But because this M is in here, at the very least, we should probably just cool our jets and let this thing clean itself up. Of course, I've been talking to you guys at length. This would be sort of like lower time frame traders, and to me, what I'm seeing here, and it's a little suspicious, is I'm seeing, notice this high, they took it out. Here, I'm going to make that yellow so you can see it. That high right there, they took it out by like $9. Stopwatch! And then back down. And then this low, notice they took it out by like $10. Stopwatch! Back up. So, when I look at this, to me, this still is screaming trading range. Just that simple. And now the bears have the ball. As well, too, we like to say, just look at this chart and try and hear the market's message. Do markets like to V bottom? Is it illogical to expect the market just to go straight up? Look at what happened after this V bottom, right? Down, straight up, and then up, we got to make new lows. So, what did the market have to do here? It rallied up. It came back down. Okay, that's cool. W. All right, well, let's really test this low. Okay, yeah, that's a good looking low. And then back up and away we go. So, what is the market's message right now? Well, we just made a V bottom and we just came off a very well-defined M tops, right? We even said M top here. So, the market's message is more M's, not less W's. The market's message is, I'm feeling a little heavy here. It's such a great way just to look at what letters of the alphabet do I see on my chart? To give you an idea of just what the general market message is. for site members, those people trading lower time frames, I think Kevin said he even took some profits on some shorts here. Of course, the guy's a fucking trading god. The message that I have for the site and for site members is this, and of course you guys have seen this ad nauseum now for a week or two, so it's probably driving you crazy, but I don't think anything has changed here. And like you'll notice over time, I keep moving the you are here now, you are here now. So now I actually think we're in this part of the 2016 pre-halvening pump, pre-halvening dump, halvening event, counter trend rally, consolidation, and I think we're in the head fake move right now. Dump, get everybody thinking all short, and then notice slowly bring it back just to drive everybody crazy. That's pretty much what I'm thinking here. Message really hasn't changed over the past week or so. And as I've said repeatedly, I would actually much prefer this scenario happen, because then this would be a very natural, very healthy, harmonic move back down against key support, reload zones, AB equals CDs completed, or in essence, a complete move. If we actually rip back up top here, then that creates a megaphone, and you can clearly see there is a world of resistance, whether it be trend lines, whether it be megaphones, whether it be this uptrend, whether it be harmonic levels, whether it be chaos levels. This might turn into just the biggest honkin' reversal level, and the market just could crap out big time. That's in essence what megaphone patterns are notorious for. Is if we get a rally up top here, this is going to set up just an absolutely monstrous short. So believe it or not, I'd actually like to see this. Why? Because if this plays out, then that really takes us back to 2016. What happened after that? I sure hope I have that chart still up here. Because it was such a great conversation. Oh, darn. Fudge. Well, we can just grab it here. 2016, that's all this. A, B, C, D, halvening event, post-halvening event consolidation, dump, harmonic, back against key support, and look at what it's set up. That's what I want. So, believe it or not, in the short term, I would prefer a little bit more pain. Clean this market up, get rid of the overboughts, clean up the bear divs, all that kind of fun stuff to set our base for the next big bull market. So, I know it sounds like I'm throwing a wet blanket on this, but I would actually prefer to see this. And, if anybody's up there trading gods, can we just do this? Make it nice and polite, nice and clean, and clean up the chart technically so we can set the base for a really big bull market. All right, the only other thing I really wanted to mention to you guys here today is, just like we're doing in the Funkos, the altcoins, there's some really interesting looking names. Here's one that caught my attention. I don't know whether I mentioned it to you in the public YouTube recently. Excuse me, holy hiccups. Had a nice little W that produced a half-decent rally here, and I think if I'm not mistaken, we got off some half-decent profitable trades there. Let's see if we can change this to a candlestick. See the whole range. So there's a pretty half-decent little rally there. We pooped the bed, typical market, up and down like a horse drawers. And notice, look at the little W that's trying to come in here. We got a W within a W here. So is this a kind of opportunity where you have a relatively small risk window at the bottom end of a range? And is it realistic to actually see the price of the air is now 21? Is it realistic to think about doubling your money? Really all that is just asking for a move up, back up against this original high. If you did buy some more, or bought some here, sort of like Nanny Nibbles, little old ladies kind of stuff. Let me back up. If you had bought the W setup and it started working in your favor, it's a really good idea never to let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So if you were trading this At the bare minimum, I would have liked to have heard that you moved your stop to scratch, and on this dump, you would have just walked away. If you were nanny nibbling, little old lady, that kind of approach, then you probably picked up a little bit here. And frankly speaking, I actually think this is a great idea to go pick up a little bit more here. Your average is going to be in this area. If we get that rally up into this area, you get your double off. Just don't break the 5% rule. You're not allowed to break it. And, those nanny nibble kind of things, they're like 1%, half a percent, just nibbling away. So anyway, I did see some really interesting price action on this algo here this morning. You can see the range. We're right at the bottom. W's are coming in. 50% levels are probably up into this area. So, something for you to chew on. Not really much going on in Poopcoin index commentary here. I wouldn't really have a trade right now. I think I said yesterday if I was like really aggressively trading, I probably would have drilled down to like a, if we maybe zoom down to like an hourly chart, you see a nice little trade there. You could have hunted something through this. There's nice solid consolidation in here, but I don't know. It's not something I would do. I suppose, we are, kind of the conversation about Bitcoin. I'm a little concerned looking at the price action of things like Litecoin and Ethereum. Right now, they're actually doing far more technical damage today than Bitcoin. So, I couldn't come in on the buy side. In fact, what I'm worried about on a name like this is if we do reloads short zones. I was thinking short setups. Yeah, gee whiz, there's Mountain Man right there. So actually, it's not a surprise why the market stopped there. That was a typical Mountain Man trade. And there's 78.6. So, a top anywhere up in this area, a nice little M, and then a break of this trend line probably is going to set up a half decent short. So nothing really to do there now, but if things like algos and stuff start popping up, well, maybe that's what pushes this poop index a little higher. And that AB equals CD is still floating out there. I just wouldn't be in the trade. So, all right, I think I'll leave the summary at that. Hopefully, I gave you some ideas to chew on, toting our horn, new idea. So, we're always kicking around stuff. And frankly speaking, I think my commentary lately of just the market going sideways following this sort of happening event, I got to say, I think that was spot on, and it did our community a lot of favors just telling them to slow down. This is a horrible trade location for higher time frame participants. Let's just let this resolve, either break out to the upside and then we can start hunting longs, or break down to the downside and we can start hunting shorts. But right now, let's just let this thing simmer here a bit. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Hey, it was 3 minutes past 11. Not bad. All right, take it easy, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.